And tonight on JoyNews Prime, police arrest 9 gang members of a land guard syndicate after hours of gun battle at Kokrobite here in Accra.
We are sending a strong warning that we're going to use the new law passed by Parliament as our tool and weapon to support us in our combat operations against langars, miscreants, armed robbers.
We'll get more details from the police. Also, investigators at the Special Prosecutor's Office grill officials of company allegedly involved in the sale of government contracts for the second day running. Minister for Inner City and Songa Development says no government or president in the future will dare scrap the ministry. We'll hear from Dr. Mustafa Hamid.
Government or president that, excuse my language, will have the audacity to say that it has cancelled this ministry or dissolved it or whatever.
Also, it's been 6 years since the Supreme Court delivered its verdict on the 2012 election petition hearing. What are your memories of the hearing? We will hear from some of you.
Affidavits, pink sheets, but most importantly, what occurs right now was Chikata and his constant outbursts when he once said that I'm a poor boy from Bimbila.
In business,
Deputy Finance Minister hints customs benchmark values for goods to be cleared at the ports likely to be reviewed in 2020 budget to be presented next November.
And Wenchi Divisional Police Command rescue 27-year-old spiritualist from alleged kidnappers. I'm Barbara Kumson, and JoyNews Prime comes to you live from the JoyNews studio at Kokomeme here in Accra with digital address GA099-2539. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying with us. Now, 9 gang members of a highly sophisticated and armed land guard syndicate who staged a gun battle at Kokrobite, a suburb of Accra, have been arrested by the counter-terrorism unit of the Ghana Police Service. There were no casualties, but police say the fighting went on in the open for more than 2 hours before police subdued them.
The Accra Regional Police Operations Combat Team from the National Headquarters and the personnel from Wager Division embarked on a special task operation aimed at getting some langars who were seriously seen fighting among themselves over land and other properties. This special operation took about 2 hours to subdue them. There was sporadic firing and violence, at Tuba. And with tact and professionalism, we've been able to arrest 8 of them who are here with us with 2 weapons, that's pump action gun, pistol, and over 300 ammunitions, India hemp, and other adapted implements meant to cause injury and harm. Let us state, or let me make it clear, that the war on langars has started, and that whoever is embarked on this illicit business in Accra and its immediate environs will be taken on seriously by police. We will make sure that those criminals, those armed gangs that go about disrupting people from their work will be brought to book and nabbed accordingly. Therefore, we are sending a strong warning that we're going to use the new law passed by Parliament as our tool and weapon to support us in our combat operations against langars, miscreants, armed robbers, and people whose love is just to cause tension and insecurity. We are in for them, and nothing will deter the regional command and personnel of the Ghana Police Service from discharging our duties. In view of this, we are keeping them in custody. The CID is going to investigate. On Monday, they will be put before court. And let me also entreat the media to support us in our counter operations against land guards, armed gangs, robbers, and kidnappers, as well as other violent criminals.
Are you still looking for any more of these suspects?
Oh yes, the investigation is actually going to direct where we should go. And those behind it, their grandmasters, those criminal grandmasters, will be brought to book. We have some of the kingpins among them, and we're looking at it, and investigations, as investigation unfolds, we will take appropriate charges against them.
Thank you.
So I'm joined in the studio by Accra Regional Police Operations Commander, Chief Superintendent of Police Kwesi Fori, for some clarification on this matter. Many thanks for your time, sir. Now, I assume that they were fighting over a parcel of land. They are land guards after all. What have your investigations unearthed as to what sparked this violence?
Okay, preliminary investigations have established that they are fighting for purposes of dominance, power, and control. So these are rival gangs that never agrees on anything. And they went out there fighting around Tuba. And they even took the fight close to the Tuba township, you know, causing fear and mayhem. And the police moving, you know, various formations moving under the regional ops and that of the Weya divisional commander, and we were able to subdue them after hours because this was undulating terrain where you can just not, you know, see them, but gunshot sounds, you know.
So we don't know what specifically sparked this, the violence.
That is what I said, dominance for power, control of lands, and who is who in that terrain. That is the basis of the fight. And this time around, another important feature is that they are using drones even to monitor security officers who comes in.
Oh.
Smart drones were flying and so forth. Well, we've gotten all those materials, and we're going to look at it. And the police also need to adopt extra measures by coming out with more proactive strategies to contain these menace. And let me use this opportunity to say that the regional command and the regional commander had vowed, you know, to clamp down on land guard activities in Accra and its immediate environs. And therefore, we'll be going all out, and we're sending down strong warning to those armed gangs, armed robbers, and those kind of illegal operatives that we are ready for them and we're going to win the war.
Okay, so we'll come to that, but we know that Kokrobite has been infamous for, you know, land guard activities. But what is the police doing to curb these activities?
There have been a lot of actions, initiatives by the police and other security services. Even a month or so, the National Security Outfit conducted a very massive security operation at Kokrobite and its environs. Armed criminals and land guards were arrested and sent to the CID headquarters for investigations. The regional command has also carried a series of operations. The local police are also doing same. But this time around, with the new law in place, is going to equip us as far as prosecution is concerned.
And when you say the new law, you're talking about the Anti-Vigilantism Bill?
Yes.
The Act. Okay.
And it is very tough, so focused, and it will also help police in its investigations, unlike the past.
How specifically are you going to relate the bill or the law to your activities in curbing, you know, some of these activities by the land guards?
After investigations, the docket may go to the Judicial Department of the Police or the Attorney General's outfit. And because the new law is so specific and down to earth, putting up charges may be straightforward. Unlike in the past, if they ask you in a court who is a landlord, it turns out to be difficult. But this time around, the law has been very specific, and it is contemporary in nature as far as some of these violent activities are concerned. So we are very hopeful that we're going to use this law, to get them, and we'll get the kind of sentence that we want.
Good. Now, I mean, I'm also told that you came across some shrines when you went to the area to apprehend these culprits. Tell us about that.
Okay. The police, we don't delve into spiritual matters. We look for physical evidence, but you have some of these things as a way of, they believe that to fortify them against whatever they are doing, and that is to their mind. But we police, we do not consider some of these spiritual matters as a working tool.
I see. So, I mean, what do you intend to do with the land guards who decide to surrender rather than be arrested, wait until the police come and arrest them?
I believe that as we've started our fight against them, we're going to look at it, whether some kind of period will be given for people to surrender their arms, surrender their activities, surrender whatever resources they are using to advance these land guard activities, and also to make their presence known to us, for us to look at a way of deactivating their operations and so forth. I think that will be looked at by the top brass of the service.
All right, Chief. Very quickly before you go, yesterday we had the Interior Minister and just today we had the Vice President also allude to the fact that the police will be arming their men on the streets from yesterday. Has that happened?
Yeah, today the Accra regional operations were given hundreds of bulletproof vests, and that has been given to personnel tonight, and they are using it, and it's going to be like this. When you go out on duty, you put it on, you come, you return it for others also to use. And this evening we just collected hundreds of the bulletproof vests, which is, I think, a good promise delivered by the Honorable Minister for the Interior and the Inspector General of Police. And very soon, I think all his promises will be fulfilled. Less than 24 hours, we will receive some of the materials, and not only for the regional command, for the division, district, and stations that will be embarking on patrols in the metropolis. I
see. And I did say that was my last question, but I need to ask you this. The Vice President also made the point that they had gotten clearance for the recruitment of an additional 4,000 personnel into the service. How is this going to enhance the fight against crime?
Definitely to improve the ratio of policing in the country. And looking at policing, it counts on numbers. And it will go a long way for us to fill vacancies that have been left. Don't forget that every year, a lot of people go on retirement. Others also put voluntary resignation, among others. Others also go on health grounds, and deaths, like what happened, are all part of it. So bringing in over 4,000 on board is a good news to the service.
All right, many thanks. And always good to see you, Chief Superintendent of Police, Kwesi Fori there. You're still watching JoyNews Prime with me, Arabu Kunsin. We're taking a short breather, but we're back with more news, and one of them is investigators at the Special Prosecutor's Office grilling officials of the company allegedly involved in the sale of government contracts for the second day running. To bring you details of that. Also, Minister for Inner City and Songa Development says no government or president in the future will dare scrap the ministry. We'll hear from Dr. Mustafa Hamid.
There is no government or president that, excuse my language, will have the audacity to say that it has cancelled this ministry or dissolved it or whatever.
Details after this break. You're welcome back. Now, General Manager of Talents Discovery Limited, Mwah, was on Friday interrogated 4 hours by officials in the Special Prosecutor's Office. He was accompanied by part owner of the company and suspended CEO of the Public Procurement Authority, Ejenim Boating Eje. Mr. Mwah was captured in a documentary by Manasseh Azura when allegedly selling government contracts. JoyNews' Joseph Akable on Friday pitched camp at the office of the Special Prosecutor as day 2 of interrogations continued. Here is his report.
PPA CEO Ejenim Boating Eje, Thomas Mwah, who is the General Manager of Talent Discovery Limited, and Francis Ahin, who is a shareholder of the Talent Discovery Limited company, together with their lawyers, came for the second phase of the interrogation on Friday. They arrived at the premises of the Office of the Special Prosecutor at about 9 a.m. At 9:30 a.m., they exited the office as they were led by investigators to visit various locations that we understand forms part of the investigation as the investigators seek to carry out some verification. You will recall that on Thursday, when the PPA CEO arrived, he was charged and granted bail as well, after which he told pressmen that he had done no wrong. But obviously, investigators are continuing with their work to attempt to unravel all the issues surrounding the alleged sale of the contracts. And so they left the premises of the Office of the Special Prosecutor at about 10 a.m. to carry out the first phase of the verifications that we understand took place outside the offices. They subsequently returned later on, only to leave again at about 10:30 a.m. on a Friday as they continued with the investigation. And so that formed the second phase of the investigation that saw the investigators interrogate Francis Ahin, Thomas Mwah, and Ejenim Boating Eje. What is not so clear is whether this investigation or this aspect of the investigation will continue beyond Friday. But what we can be sure of is that the Office of the Special Prosecutor has already indicated that they are looking into this matter. You recall that when the President referred it to them, they had indicated that they should expedite their investigation. And so the expectation is that once they conclude investigations, they will inform the general public that has taken a keen interest in this particular matter as to the next line of action. And so this is the situation here at the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Reporting for JoyNews from Laboni, my name is Joseph Akable.
Well, Martin Babu is a private legal practitioner, and he will help us appreciate the law better on contract subletting and contract sale, as well as when it becomes a procurement breach. Mr. Babu joins us via Skype. Many thanks for your time, sir.
You're welcome, Gifty.
Right, I'm sure you've been following the discussion since it broke and the subsequent commentary on the issue. First, let's clear the issue about contract sale and contract subletting. What is the difference between the two?
Okay, so the contract subletting is what is commonly referred to as a contract sale. Now, what it is that this is a situation in which a person wins a contract from a procurement entity. So when we say procurement entity, it means the ministry, the agency, or district municipal assembly that awards a contract. Okay, so the person who wins as a contractor and subsequently finds that for so many reasons he's unable to fulfill the contract. So he finds another person and transfers his rights to that person. So that is what is generally called the contract subletting. So that's 100%, which some call contract sale. Now, contract subletting per se is not against the law. To see whether somebody has breached the contract or not, we'll have to interrogate the specific contract. So let's say if there's a contract between District Assembly A and Mr. X. Inside the contract, they will stipulate whether Mr. X is allowed to subsequently sublet or assign his interest or subcontract. So if they allow it, they may say so expressly. Or if they don't and they are quiet, if Mr. X wants to sublet, generally, all he has to do is to go and seek the consent of the procurement entity. Others will call them the employer, that is to say the person who gave the contractor the contract. So generally, Gifty, The subletting or contract sale, unfortunately, though it carries some moral decadence, so to speak, like the way the general public is abhorred by it, it's legal, actually. I know, well, there are times that something may be immoral, but it is legal. You say, yes. So subletting is not against the law per se. It all depends on what the parties have written. Now, when it comes to subcontracting, what would happen is that sometimes the person may say, okay, let's say maybe he has to do A, B, C, D. So let's say there's a contract to buy chairs, tables, and let's say computers, laptops. Then the contractor finds that he can handle the tables and chairs, but he doesn't have capacity for the laptops. So he can subcontract part of the contract, not all, so that he performs part, then he gets another person to perform the rest of it. So generally, these happen. So, and this is a general discussion, but to see what specifically, if anything, went wrong in terms of subletting, we would have to see those specific contracts. When I was contacted for this interview, I asked your colleague if you guys have laid hands on the contract. I was promised that it will be a copy will be sent to me, but as of now, I've not seen it. So when we see the contract, we can do a subsequent discussion on it.
Right. So subcontracting and subletting are not necessarily illegal, but at what point does it become a matter of corruption or crime?
Yes, you've put your finger right on it. Yes. So as to that, then you're looking at the influence of the person. So did the person who got those contracts, did he use influence, money, or any other illegal means to acquire the contracts or to obtain those contracts or to win the contract? So that is the question. And that is where you and I, well, at least, or maybe let me say, speak for myself, we don't have enough facts to be able to nail that question. Maybe the investigations will uncover. But of course, let's quickly add that we all know that a man is innocent until proven guilty, as stated in our constitution, because we have to be seen not to be trying him on air, okay, like we say media trial. No, we are just trying to educate ourselves. But the evidence, I haven't seen the evidence to be able to answer that question.
Jay himself has said that he's being made to pay for a crime he did not commit, and that his lawyer, Augustine Obuo, is on record as saying the PPA boss cannot be made to pay for the mistakes of crimes committed by a clerk or a manager of his company. What's the position of the law on that?
Okay, yes. Under our law, a company can be held responsible for a crime. Yes, earlier on I was saying that, you know, one of our former first ladies, Nana Kunedu Rawlings, you know, just before President Kufuor left office, she was standing trial, and one of the companies carried them. Was also an accused. You see, so the company was also standing trial. So what I'm saying is that under our law, under certain circumstances, a company can be tried. But of course, because the company is not a living human being, it will be represented by the directors. Even we have another very recent example, the Muntie 3 example. You know, in the Muntie 3 case, the radio station that, you know, was used for the unpardonable words and that offense of contempt was hauled before the court. So it was the directors that came and stood to personify the company, because we all know that a company is not a living human being. So when there is evidence to justify the trial of the company, yes, under our law, it is allowed, and the directors will be made to stand in for the company.
Babu, I've also heard Mr. Augustine Obuo say that a receipt bearing the company name, which was issued to the investigative journalist, that's Manesse Azuri Awini, is not enough evidence that the money was paid to the company. It beats my imagination. What more evidence will be required as proof that money was paid to the company?
Okay, so basically, we may have to check, yes, receipt. Now you would have to inspect to see, does the company have such a receipt book? And you know, ordinarily, a receipt book comes with serial numbers. So the receipts that Manasseh is holding, we'll have to check, as a company got such receipt books, then we check the serial numbers. Now, that apart also, you may, if you have concrete evidence that that money was subsequently deposited in a bank, there is a way to subpoena the bank to provide provide a court with the bank statement of the company. So there's a way to go about it. But first of all, to ask a bank to bring the statement, you must lay the necessary foundation. The law frowns on just a fishing expedition. You just say, oh, the company has accounts, so straight away, let's bring them. No, you don't bring the bank easily. The law says that if you want the bank to come, you first must establish reasonable basis. The court will have to be convinced under Section 176 of the Evidence Act. Yes, bankers are asked to come to court as and when there is sufficient basis to call the banks a bank to come to court and to furnish the court with the bank statement of an accused person or an accused company. It's all about the evidence. So, Gifty, it's all about the evidence as a prima facie. Let me use it in inverted commas here. It's all about laying a prima facie case before the court will make such an order.
All right, I'm grateful for your time. That's a private legal practitioner, Martin Babu, there. You're still watching JoyNews Prime. We're taking a breather, but business is up next. And in business, Deputy Finance Minister hints customs benchmark values for goods to be cleared at the ports are likely to be reviewed in the 2020 budget to be presented next November. Thanks for staying with us. Now, it's been exactly 6 years since the Supreme Court delivered its verdict on the 2012 election petition hearing. Many say the legal battle deepened the country's democracy and strengthened our cohesiveness as a people. For others, it's a painful memory they would want to forget. Well, some Ghanaians have been sharing their memories and highlights of the 8-month-long hearing in this report by Evans Aziomo Mensah, read to you.
Babu JSC grants the claim of voting without biometric verification, cancels the votes involved, and orders a rerun of the areas affected. In the circumstances, the overall effect is that the first respondent was validly elected and the petition is therefore dismissed.
Then the challenge emerges. The NPP heads to court over the results as announced by the Electoral Commission. And for 8 long months, an election petition hearing traversed, affecting governance, government would argue. Democracy watchers say it strengthened our democratic credentials. Others say it stalled development.
Well, keywords like affidavits, pink sheets, but most importantly, what occurs right now, what comes to mind right now was Baumia being held as the hero for that particular duration. And of course, the person that got my attention so far was Chikata and his constant outbursts when he once said that I'm a poor boy from Bimbila. So all these are things that come to mind. But I can't believe it's been 6 years. And
for a section of Ghanaians, however, the hearing brought about the beauty of the country's democracy.
In Ghana, and then how I saw the lawyers argue their cases, Philip Addison speaking so articulately, and then Baumia trying so hard to prove a point that there was overvoting. And it was fun to watch, actually, when you see your politicians in court trying to, and they were all doing it just to be in par.
I learned a lot from the electoral petition hearing, though, but some of these comical things that happened during the petition when it was, everyone understood the reasons why we called General Mosquito. Aside that, Samia Uku, issue against Samia Uku, is it Samia Uku? Oh, I've forgotten. Samia Uku was it's some Ken Crunchy.
Hey, as I said, discuss with me first.
Okay. Yeah.
So let's
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When Ken Crunchy was charged contempt of court and Atubiga to bigger. That's all the things I remember. I remember.
The day of judgment, where were you?
Oh, I was in the house with my mother. We were all praying that something bad shouldn't happen, because that time we didn't even go to school, and we were all praying. We were all before our TV set. We are waiting for the verdict, and surprisingly, this presiding judge came and just started about 5 minutes. He said the verdict was over. I said, how?
With more than a year to the next general election, Ghanaians expect the Electoral Commission to tighten the controls, implement reforms, and avert a repeat.
The Minister for Inner City and Zongo Development, Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, is confident the ministry created by President Akufo-Addo in 2017 to tackle serious challenges of sanitation and other developmental needs in about 1,080 neglected communities has come to stay. He says no government in the future will have the courage to scrap the ministry, which currently operates from the Osu Castle.
Well, first of all, as for this ministry, I can tell you with 100% certainty, even though I'm not a prophet, that there is no government or president that, excuse my language, will have the audacity to say that it has cancelled this ministry or dissolved it or whatever. I'm sure recently you saw President Mahama things are superfluous. These are about almost 5 million people that, you know, somebody establishes a ministry to do a special intervention in their lives and so on. I'm not sure you will have the courage to say that they should go to hell.
So you are certain that the ministry has come to stay?
No, it has come to stay.
In terms of I was asking about the secretariat of the fund, and whether you are looking at a period when you may occupy the same space or they may have a better space than they currently have. Is that something you are considering?
Of course. Already I'm in talks with my colleague minister at the Ministry of Communication, because I realized that the National Communications Authority has a lot of facilities, office spaces and so on. So I'm in talks with her. She asked me to write, which I have written, asking that some facility that they have around the ringway, you know, part of it should be given to us, you know, for use by our offices. Whilst doing that, also we are exploring the other option of seeing the Minister for Works and Housing to give us, you know, give us some government bungalow, maybe some dilapidated one, which we can renovate and use our permanent office.
Dr. Hamid dismissed assertions the ministry was set up to fail.
Oh no, certainly. It's not a ministry that was set up to fail. No, that one, there is no basis for saying that. First of all, you know the basic Chinese proverb that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. There are communities, when I go around the inner city and Zongo communities, I tell them that, you know, there are ministries that have been in existence since before independence. So in other words, there are ministries that are 62 years old in our country. But even the sectors where these ministries that are dealing with, there are still challenges. For example, as we speak, there are educational challenges in our country. There are health challenges in our country. There are road challenges in our country. There is housing challenge in our country, and etc. But meanwhile, there are ministries that have been dealing with these matters from before independence. So how do you then talk about a ministry that was set up 2.5 years ago? I follow me. So if ministries that were in existence since before independence still have these enormous challenges, I mean, for us who have been set up in 2.5 years, you can understand that even the quantum of work that has been done in these 2.5 years should tell people that if we were to be patient and make the journey of 10 years or 20 years, there will be huge transformation.
Let's talk about that quantum of work. You just mentioned the president's reference to 1,080 communities.
Yes, please.
You mentioned 59 projects that are being done.
Yes.
Which means that these are probably 59 communities out of 1,080.
Yeah.
That's a drop in an ocean.
Oh, huge drop, without a doubt. But these are just projects that are coming up now. There are some that have also gone before, and in some Zongo communities, and I'm sure I would recall all of these things for you to see.
Now, the Ashanti regional town of Ibaka was thrown into a state of mourning as residents came out in their numbers to bid one of the 2 police officers who were shot dead by unidentified armed men at Kaswa in the central region. Residents who joined the family to share harrowing tributes about one of their illustrious sons, Lance Corporal Mohammed Awal, whose killing and that of a colleague shocked the entire nation, came out in their numbers to bid them farewell. Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia, who condemned the killing of the officers, describing it as a cowardly act, joined other mourners to praise the deceased as hard-working. Oimintewia has more.
The brutal killing of Lance Corporal Awal and Sergeant Michael Jamesi sent shivers down the spine of Ghanaians, especially close relatives. The killing of the officers who were on motor traffic check duties brings to 5 the number of officers killed in the last 30 days. Awal, the only male child of 8 children, is described as respectful and disciplined by family members. His father, Mohammed Osman, could not control his tears as he reflects on the shocking death of his son.
Awal is my son. I brought him up in godly ways. He's very respectful and disciplined. Everything about him is special. Awal is someone I respect so much as a father. He has become the toast of everyone in this community.
Awal is the man of the people who has been supporting education of children in that Zongo community. He contributed 10,000 Ghana cedis into an educational fund set up to support needy children and also donated educational materials to support students in basic schools.
He is a symbol of hope, symbol of encouragement and braveness. Awal is not a coward. He is always a man.
Yes, we were told of how he has contributed immensely to education fund and then the education of young people in the community. How true is this?
Yes. When the foundation was created, it was not even part of the initial meeting, but when his attention was brought to it, all the time he presented his contribution.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia says Lance Corporal Awal would be remembered for his hard work and sacrifice to the nation.
It's a very, very sad day. It's a day that I'm coming here on behalf of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the government and people of Ghana to bring you our heartfelt condolences. Something very, very terrible happened on Wednesday, the 28th of August, where we had the cowardly and dastardly murder of 2 unarmed police officers doing traffic duty, Sergeant Michael Jamesi and Lance Corporal Awal Mohammed. They were murdered in cold blood by these criminals. And it's on behalf of the President that I'm here to extend my condolences to the family.
He assured of government's efforts to adequately resource the police service and announce recruitment of more officers to augment the current police force.
We have already been taking measures to try to beef up the responsiveness of the police and make sure they are protected in the execution of their duties. Henceforth, all police who go for outside duties will carry ammunition, will carry weapons, and will also have bulletproof vests and helmets. They have to.
From Kumasi for JoyNews, Oimintewia reporting.
And may his soul rest in perfect peace. Now, after 13 years of setbacks, the Ministry of Gender and Social Protection says it has begun processes to ensure the Affirmative Action Bill is laid in Parliament before the end of 2019. This comes after the CSO's cluster on decentralization and citizen participation walked through the principal streets of Accra demanding immediate action. The bill, when passed, will require government to ensure 40% representation of women in governance, public positions of power and decision-making. The group says it will continue to hold series of walks in regional capitals to ensure the bill is passed under this administration. Nancy Emefa-Jadosi was with the group and now reports.
The cluster of CSOs, which comprises 63 civil society groups, including Hope for Future Generation, Star Ghana, Women in Politics Training, among others, marched from the Obra Sport through to the Gender Ministry. At the Gender Ministry, co-convener of the group, Efwachidi, presented a petition demanding that the ministry ensures that the Affirmative Action Bill is passed by the end of 2019.
Children and Social Protection presents the draft Affirmative Action Bill to Cabinet for consideration and approval by September 2019. We demand that Cabinet prioritize the consideration and approval of the draft action bill, Affirmative Action Bill, as presented by the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Cabinet and Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection to introduce the Affirmative Action Bill in Parliament by October 2019.
Now, even though the Gender Minister, Cynthia Morrison, had agreed to meet the group at the end of the march, she was unavailable to do so, and the group expressed disappointment.
She endorsed today's Affirmative Action Walk. She's aware. We wrote to her outfit. I delivered the letters personally. I feel so empowered. Yes. I feel so empowered because if we are 63 in number, and if a minister feels so threatened by us and run away from us, it means we are very empowered.
The Reverend Comforter Sari, Director of Gender at the ministry, was on hand to receive the petition, and she promised that her outfit would comply with the demands made.
I assure you that when the minister comes, we shall submit your petition to her. And we've also taken note of all the actions that you want the Honorable Minister to take. And we want to assure you that we will not relent in our efforts to make sure we work speedily on the bill and have it laid before Parliament by the end of the year.
The group later marched to Parliament, where the Acting Director of Public Affairs, Gloria Saku, received the petition on behalf of Speaker Professor Michael Quay. Speaking to journalists, the convener of the group, Amadou Zuliadin, noted that the group will hold a series of walks in other parts of the country until the Affirmative Action Bill is passed.
On the 7th of September, we're doing the march in Tamale, starting from the Aliu Mama Sports Stadium. After the march, we'll continue to engage the leadership of Parliament, we'll continue to engage the Minister of Gender, we'll continue to engage the Presidency to ensure that this bill is passed to accelerate women's development in our country, because we'll continue to do the diplomacy, to engage them indoor, and also to do this kind of work aimed at raising awareness among the Ghanaian people and drawing government's attention to passing the bill, which is very critical for women's development in our country.
There was one setback, though. The group was not allowed to the Presidency to present the petition, even though that was part of the plan.
Let's head to Wenchi now, where a magistrate court has remanded 6 persons to reappear on September 12 for allegedly kidnapping a 27-year-old spiritualist. The 6 heavily built men were arrested by police patrol team on the Wenchi-Techiman Highway following a distress call from a police checkpoint at Accra. Wenchi Divisional Police Commander ACP Sebastian Achu-Wemaga disclosed this in an interview with Nesta Kafuya-Joma.
Wenchi Divisional Police Commander ACP Wemaga praised the vigilance of his men at Akrobi checkpoint and the patrol team for the successful arrest of the suspects who had allegedly kidnapped the spiritualist from Abotereye, a community near Bedu in the Tyne district.
When they got to the charge of his We were called in and then we asked that the vehicle be searched. And upon a thorough check, we saw about 5-6 cutlasses, well sharpened at the boot, and then 1 single barrel rifle on the boot. And then this made us to detain all the occupants and then ask that the vehicle be impounded to assist us in further investigations. For the interim, the captors were unable to tell us where they are sending the victim that they captured, and we wanted to probe further. So we took the initiative by taking the captors to the district magistrate court for them to be properly remanded into police custody.
Narrating his ordeal, the 27-year-old spiritualist, Nanayao Echampong, said the 6 men had planned to kill him when they get to Accra.
The guys really beat me up and dragged me into their car. One of the suspects insisted they kill me and dump me into the forest. They beat me and took off my clothes till I fell unconscious. At a point, I thought I had died. We got to the riverbank where they tried executing me. But one was hesitant and they insisted they will execute the plan when they get to Accra.
ACP Bamaga reaffirmed the resolve to continue making Wenchi municipality an unattractive area for criminals to operate in.
The Wenchi municipality can never be a safe haven for any criminal whatsoever. And I am assuring the general public with their cooperation that we're going to do everything humanly possible to ensure that no criminal survive and then perform his duties without being caught in Wenchi and its environs. That anybody who suspects any person believed to be indulging in an activity that he does not understand should quickly alert the police.
Nanaya Wechampong has since been granted bail and advised to seek medical attention since he had been severely assaulted by the suspects. Nesta Kafui Ajuma's report for JoyNews.
Now, let's talk about cheating, shall we? Because cheating seems to mean different things to different people. So what will make you cheat, and how do you respond to a cheating partner? You'll hear from a marriage counselor on some of the common reasons why men and women cheat. But first, listen to Voices on the Street.
Well, you know, before someone or one who cheats, it's actually a lot of things. One is when there's, lack of communication between the couple. Yeah, the one has to cheat because he has to go to somewhere he's going to get free chance to talk to the other person.
Okay, I think people are not really satisfied with what they want. You have decided to go out with this person, but you see someone, I wouldn't say better than your girlfriend, but you want to see what is in that girl before you come back to your girlfriend. Your girlfriend is also being good to you, but you just want to taste and see what is in the other girl before you come back to your girlfriend because you are not satisfied.
Have you done some before?
If one would cheat on a partner because of maybe there's no intimate relationship between the two of them, okay? So with this, when one partner feels that, okay, there's no intimacy between you and I, then maybe the person will try to cheat or find another alternative, you understand?
With me, I would say there is a lot that goes into that, but I would center more on communication because a lot of our relationships today thrive well on communication. So when you are in a relationship and then your communication skills are very poor, or you don't even communicate well at all, that can also lead to the lady or the guy cheating on you, because when they go outside and then people communicate very well with them, they feel belonging. They feel like, oh yeah, I want to be here. This is where I want to be. So they stay there, and then they end up cheating on the other partners.
Well, marriage counselor Daniel Annan says the reasons differ for men and women who cheat. He was speaking on the pulse earlier with my colleague Gifty Andor Pierre.
So when you find people cheating, then you need to ask, why do they cheat? So when you find the reason why they are cheating and you find the antidote, you solve the problem.
I see.
Now, men cheat for several reasons. One, the man is a cheater. There are some people, no matter what you do, he's a goat. He's a goat. Now, people have graduated from being goat to lion. To do, you know, and two, men cheat because they cheat to retaliate. When the wife offends or something happens, then you take somebody closer to you and cheat to retaliate, to punish you, the wife. Three, men cheat when they find that their wives are not romantic and attractive enough. They find attraction in somebody else. So that one could also call cheating. Four, men cheat when the foundation of the marriage is very weak. Women cheat, what? Because of financial issues. Women love money. Money plays a vital role in. You ask yourself, why would a young guy, why would a young woman go in for this sugar daddy? Oh, most of them is money. Let's call a spade a spade. Okay. They go in for money and that. And no, the second thing, the reason why the women also cheat is that they find certain attractions in people because they themselves don't have self-confidence in themselves. And the second reason, yes, sometimes because of when people are not able to give birth, it's a vital thing. Now, DNA, I saw a post on Facebook that somebody, it was just a comment. Somebody said, somebody bought a machine, a DNA machine in the church, and all the women started right now, include the pastor's wife. What the person tried to say? That people are cheating outside the wedlock, and children that are born today, you don't know whether it's your child or not. Because of people who have had sex, the next day they divorce. So, it's not strange to me. They have sex even the next day they divorce.
I see.
So why, if every woman, if you want to get the man's attention, you need to ask yourself, what does the man want? If every woman gets this medicine, your man will stay.
But thank you all for joining us on Joy News Prime. This is how we wrap up the show. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. And remember, let's support our policemen. Join the conversation with the hashtag #IStandWithGHPolice. Have a good night.